Are you ready? Are you ready? Wait for it. Look for it. It's there. Are you ready to soar? Are you ready to explore? Are you ready to live your life the way it's meant to be lived? Let's reach new heights. Let's climb that mountain together. You can do it. Come on. Join me on a yogi venture. Hey guys. Wow, today is a special day because in this episode I interview a friend of mine, Glenice Como, who I've known for over 40 years, and she's an Episcopal priest. And I thought that it would be nice to explore faith, particularly during this COVID-19. I won't speak for anybody else, but I know it's just making me really look inward a lot more. I guess I want to say it's making me really self-reflect. So I wanted to reach out to a spiritual advisor, and it just occurred to me that I have a friend who is a priest, and her words are good for any religion. During my conversation with Glenice, she talks about how she was called and how her plans included lots of faith. She even talks about how having faith and how this COVID-19, I think when we look back, we're going to have experienced many lessons. She talks about, facing her own obstacles. And so she speaks about trying different things to make her dreams work and how people came into her life at the right time and it helped to push her forward to her dreams. And I'm sure many of you have had people who have come into your life and they've influenced you in some way and that you can relate. I like to think that my podcast helps you look at your life and the people who have influenced you, because we all have them. I'm sure that you too have certain people in your lives who've touched your soul. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Listen and enjoy. So hi guys, I am so excited today, really honored too, that my friend Glenice Robinson-Como, and she is what are you? You're a priest. You are a priest, yes.
Episcopal priest.
An Episcopal priest, okay. But I think that your words and what you have to say are relevant for any religion.
Exactly.
Right?
It transcends, exactly.
Exactly. Oh, good. So, Glenice, first, do you remember how we met? And it's been a long time, hasn't it?
A long time ago. Well, I first met you at VCU.
Yes, Virginia Commonwealth University.
Virginia Commonwealth University.
Yes.
And then later, as we would move in different directions, I met you when you began to, well, we were so excited when you became an actress.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, we have days.
Yes. You were taking for Lethal Weapon and you were coming to California.
Staying on your couch?
Yes. Forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
I moved to California, and it was just such a joy to have someone from home. To be. So I always cherish that time we spent together.
So do I. Yeah. I have pictures and I look back at it. In fact, I'm gonna snap some afterwards and send you by when I message you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's clear to say it's been a while. I almost want to say a good, oh gosh, maybe 45, 40.
At least 40 years.
At least. I know, right? Yeah. Because if you're talking about VCU days, that's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we go way back, and you have actually been called. And what does that mean? I have an idea of what it means. I'm thinking it means that you received some sort of message or some sort of feeling that you felt you needed to become an Episcopal priest.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, but I mean, God just moves in so many different ways, because I was not an Episcopalian, or what some would call cradle. When you hear Episcopalians say, oh no, I'm a cradle Episcopalian, it means that they were born into that religion. Well, I was not.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in the Baptist tradition, Baptist and AME traditions. And so I was always in church.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not looking for the Episcopal Church or to be a priest or a minister at all.
Mm-hmm.
But my faith has always been that catalyst that moved me forward to leave Virginia. I never, ever planned to leave Virginia. I wanted to live there, have my babies, and be a grandma there. I love Virginia.
Oh.
And God had other plans. I mean, I love to travel, but I was not looking to relocate. But a job came up with the Department of Defense that I couldn't really turn down. It was a good opportunity, and I knew the Department of Defense had offices all over the world, so I could transfer back to Virginia.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I would get the experience, transfer back to Virginia, work for the Department of Defense, and retire somewhere near Northern Virginia. That was my plan.
Okay.
God had other plans, and so that was, I think, the nudge. He said, okay, she's stubborn, so let me work with her another way. And so it just so happened a year before my oldest sister moved to California, and she and her family were there, and I told her about this job. I said, oh, I'm not moving. She said, well, you could stay here. And it sounded like, okay, well, let's try it. So I never regret doing that. It is where I met my husband. It is where my children were born. It was just,
mm-hmm.
all the things that I wanted, they just weren't in Virginia, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But still never thinking about minister, priest, anything, or the Episcopal Church.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was Catholic, so the Episcopal Church and the Catholic Church are similar. The Episcopal Church actually came out of the Catholic Church, but they wanted to ordain. There's a pull for women, and so and then men. The main thing was that men wanted to marry. They wanted the choice of whether they could marry or not, and then the Catholic faith they could not. So it's just interesting that I married this person who was raised, went to Catholic school all his life, knows nothing else but the Catholic Church.
Wow.
And we meet and marry, and we begin to raise children. So I always say, okay, well, God, that was what you brought me here for. So now we can go back to the East Coast, right? And it just never happened. I kept getting a promotion after promotion, and then I think as the kids, become connected to sports and different things, you sort of begin to. I was just pulled into that, and by that time,
you're being a mom.
Yeah,
that happens. Yeah.
So I just figured when they finish school, when they finish high school, then that'll be the opportunity again. But anyway, while I was in California, I was doing a lot of not necessarily organized religion events. I was doing spiritual retreats. I was doing yoga. I was really deep into meditation, mm-hmm. because I always knew, and I just felt this, I was supposed to be doing something else. I could do, a couple of things well, but I just never saw that as a career. And so one day I just began to discern. I was at my church in Los Angeles, as a matter of fact, and I began discerning there. And then my husband's job moved him to Houston. And so that sort of broke it up for a little while. But then I started looking for a church. And the person that recruited my husband was an Episcopalian, and she has sort of become the mother, grandmother to our family. Mm-hmm. And she recruited Paul here to work for Metro. And he told her, she said, how's your wife settling in? He says, she has the kids straight, all stuff with school is straight, but I had gone to every church in Houston, Baptist, Methodist, you name it. And they were nice services, but something just never pushed me to say, yeah, join this community. So she said, well, why don't you just come to church with me one day? So I said, okay. I didn't ask mm-hmm. anything about the church, and we show up, and I'm like, what kind of church is this, by the way? And she said, this is an Episcopal church. Have you been to an Episcopal church? And I said, no, because every Episcopalian I know is Anglo. So I don't know I don't know that many African Americans. If I know them, I don't know that they are Episcopalian. So it was a nice service. We sat through. It was an African American community, so the music was good. It was a beautiful service, and I thought, wow, this is so nice. Mm-hmm. I continued to look for other churches.
Wow.
It was a nice experience. But then there was this tugging, and it would not go away, and I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, I'm trying to find a church, God, but, I need a little help. And so I went back to this same church, the Episcopal Church, and I realized I was like, what is it that's drawing you back to this space? And I realized it was community, because that's what church is about. It's not necessarily denomination or who's Catholic. We created that. God did not create denominations. Mm-hmm. We did that. Mm-hmm. We like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
we
like to label. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And then levels of, different degrees. What's at the top, what's at the bottom, who doesn't count, who's in, who's out. And so it was really about community. It reminded me of like the aunties and grandmas from your home church, that they would tell you, you better not do this, take that gum out your mouth. And so it felt familiar, even though the liturgy, which is the order of service, was so foreign to me. There were so many prayers and standing up and kneeling and genuflex and things that I was not accustomed to. My husband did right in because he's Catholic.
Right. Okay.
So the service is exactly the same. And so one day, the priest, I guess I've been going there for almost a year, and the priest said, I want to talk to you about something. I've been teaching Bible study, just participate, being active in the community like I always had in the past. And so he started talking about ordained ministry. I was like, oh, no. At that time, I thought I was going to law school. I said, I'm thinking about law school. So, no, I am not a seminarian. No, 1,000 times something. So, okay, I'm just going to pray on it. So every 3 weeks or a monthly, he would say, one day he finally said, look, will you do one thing? I was like, I don't know. He said, you've been coming here, you're volunteering, you're doing everything. Will you just go to this vocation meeting? I said, what's that? He said, it's a meeting where you discern if you feel the call to become a priest. I said, I don't feel the call. He said, I know you don't feel it now. Like,
oh, you were quick.
Oh, I was crystal clear on that. Yeah. I mean, a priest meant something so different to my husband because he's Catholic. So can you imagine a Catholic being married to an Episcopal priest? None of that made sense to me either. So I thought, and that wasn't bothersome to me. I thought it was sort of, funny that I would be married to someone who grew up in Catholic schools and, mass and all of going to mass, and a priest he'd never seen, a female priest anywhere. Female ministers, but they weren't Catholic. So as we began to sort of just go through the process, and I said, I'm going to go to this meeting so he can leave me alone, so I can just say, I've done what you've asked me to do. Done. I'm going over to Texas Southern and get an application to find out about becoming an attorney. So let me just, get rid of him so I can focus on what I want to do, right? Never ask God to come in the picture, just what I want to do.
Yeah.
I went to this meeting and I was like, and the other thing, not that this is a problem, but the Catholic Church, not so much, but the Episcopal Church is the majority of people who are members are white. And, so that's not a problem for me, but I like a good mixture. I enjoy a mixture of people to worship or share time with. And so I went to this meeting and I saw all of these women and I thought, wow, it was like a rainbow, and they were all discerning. So you know me, I'm all into the sisterhood.
Yes.
I like to do stuff with my sisters. I was like, okay, we can do this together. And so I just looked at all the things that were limitations. And if we go in this together, by the time we registered and started going through the paperwork and the process, what they call the process, none of those women were with me. I was by myself. And when I called, I was like, hey, what are y'all doing? Oh no, that requires way too much than I'm willing to give of my life. I'm just going to go back and volunteer and do the things I normally do, but that is such a huge commitment of my time, and I just can't do that. And I said, well, if it's your kids, we can bring the kids together and they can play, and I had all this stuff, we can study together. And they're like, girl, no.
Wow.
Okay.
So
it took a long time, but there was not a population of brown women, and so that turned a lot of women off. And so I thought, well, this has been my whole life. I mean, we have as people of color, that's just stuff we had to break
Mm-hmm.
those barriers
Mm-hmm.
just to get an education.
Right.
So I thought somebody died for me to be in this space, to have a choice, and never is that choice dependent on a culture that sees me as something other than being human and equal.
Right.
Now, if I've done something to you, if I'm a criminal or something, that's a whole different thing. But
Right.
if I stand before you as a Christian, regardless of being female, being of color. So that was like starting off with like two, I didn't consider them strikes, but two impediments along the way.
Mm-hmm.
The first bishop and he was so kind and he was so honest, and I respected him for what he said. He looked at me and he said, well, I said, is something wrong? We were in the interview process, and he said, well, I'm just thinking. I said, oh, okay. You want to share? And he said, well, I'm just wondering, if I ordain you, where would I assign you? Where would I place you? I said, this is the third largest diocese in the United States. You have more churches than most denominations. I would hope that you would, first of all, place me somewhere where I'm safe and where I'll be respected. And I said, but that's down the road. I haven't gone through seminary. So he put me on hold.
Put you on hold?
So, yeah, like, well, it's going to put you on hold. Well, in essence, we don't know what to do with you. You're female, you're Black. We can deal with one or the other, but we're just starting to let women into this profession. So now, and that's how I interpreted it. And so, and I'll fast forward for a second, moving forward as I went through the process, even though he retired. And then the new bishop called me one day and he said, I've been looking and your paperwork is on my desk. I want to know, what is it going to take to get you into seminary? And so I gave him the same story that I gave you. I said, I really had almost forgotten about that. I just continued with my life. And he said, well, let's talk. And he began to work with me and got my paperwork in. And I said, I'm married. I have a son. I cannot go away out of state to a seminary and leave my family. Mm-hmm. That can't happen. And, a lot of mm-hmm. younger priests were doing that. They were bringing their kids and living on campus. And so wow. That was not, my husband works.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So okay. So there was another pause. And so I just kept saying, I guess in the back of my mind, well, these are the things, God. these are the impediments. And so finally, there was a female. She wasn't the head bishop. She was under this bishop. And she said, let's just talk. And so she had gone through, not the easiest path to ordination. And she said, what would work for you? I said, I would have to go to school part-time, local. The Episcopal Seminary is in Austin. There is no way I can do that. There weren't any Zooms or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah.
She was like, well, what if you started with your basic courses there? She said, because at some time you're going to have to come to campus to take, your core classes. I said, well, let's just start and see where it goes. So that's how I started. Going to a Methodist seminary that had an Episcopal track, which means they had some classes. Our things sort of overlap anyway, that I could take just as like electives and to get me going. Mm-hmm. And after I completed that, I actually moved to Austin. My son was older, Paulie was older then. Mm-hmm. And Dominique was here with him. So, I didn't feel like I was abandoning them.
Yeah.
And so I lived on campus in Austin at Seminary of the Southwest. And I was only there 3 days, and I would come home. And that third day, I was in my car and I was headed home.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And it worked. It was hard. It worked. I spent a lot of time in Houston at the library at Rice University, sometimes all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So, it was hard. It took a long time to finish. So many times I just wanted to say, I'm tired. I'm just so tired. And so I'm sorry. I wasn't in Austin. I'm sorry. Our seminary was in Austin. So the only place I could take those core classes was through a Methodist seminary that offered Houston classes. And so I started there at SMU in Dallas, and I took those core classes. And then I went to Dallas. I left out some of this. I went to Dallas,
oh my God.
Finished and received my Master of Divinity. Then I went to the Seminary of Southwest for the Episcopal Church and had to go there a year to take core classes in the Episcopal tradition. So I'm well educated.
Oh my God, Glenice. Oh my God. But okay, so if you said you were almost ready to give up many times, when did you what kept you focused? Why did you not just say, okay, God, I can't do this, point me in another direction? Or when did you finally decide, I'm doing this, but I need your help? Like, what was the dialogue between you and your faith?
It was first with my husband, because I just didn't think I could do it. It was way too much. It was, studying, trying to have kids, trying to be a wife, trying to be a mother.
Yeah.
I had friendships. I had my sisters that I hardly ever saw, and I never saw them almost during that entire time. And that was hard too. Not never, but not as often as I wanted to. And so one day I just fell flat on my face. I said, God, I can't do this. I don't see a way. So if you call, I got mad. I said, if you call me to this, the scripture said, or a lot of people in my Baptist church would say, if God brought you to it, he'll take you through it. So I don't even know if that's in the Bible, but I'm leaning on that because I don't see a way I can do this. The next day was when that female bishop called me and said, I got an idea. She was the one that she said, how about, and we just kept talking back and forth until we put it together. And she said, it's doable. She was one of the first women that really broke through into the Episcopal Church to become a priest. And later she became a bishop. So it was just, I think every time I wanted to give up, God just either moved the stone, send a comforter, send someone to support. I had so many people that carry me. I started off because I was doing, when I say this, I get nervous. I was doing dual things. I was doing things that the Methodist University required for graduation, and I was doing things that the Episcopal Church required, and they weren't the same. Mm-hmm. One of the things I had to do was an internship at a church. And again, I sat down with this particular bishop, and she said, let me call somebody. She was like, that's not something we do, that's called something else in our process. But it was God. God assigned me to this church. And the minister there has become my brother. He was older. He was just like an older brother to me. He said, we're going to get through this. This is just paperwork. They just want stuff to say, check, you did it. But it was the best experience of my life. That was when I knew I was called. At the time I spent at that church, and he's like, oh no, I want to set a preaching schedule. I said, so you want me to type that? No. We're going to rotate preaching. I was like, I haven't graduated yet.
Oh.
But that was a God thing. God put me in the perfect place. His wife and Paul, all of us are really close. Still today. That was almost 10 years ago. And so he began to just open. He's like, no, I'm going to show you everything you need. And every time, he even had to do paperwork for the Methodist seminary in order for me to graduate, because he had to check off and sign things and do evaluations. So it was a lot of paperwork for him too. But and I guess that's how we got so close. We moved through it together. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, okay, so now I've graduated. What's going to happen? And I kept hearing this previous bishop say to me, I just keep thinking, if I ordain you, where am I going to place you? And that was always heavy on my heart. He didn't mean anything by that. He was being honest.
You're right.
He knew the reality of the churches in his diocese, and they didn't look like me mostly,
Yeah.
And he was not going to put me somewhere where I was not going to be respected, and I knew that. So he said, oh, no, we're going to think about it. So that meant being on hold again.
Okay.
And then finally, the church where I did my internship, I think once I moved through that process, there's some more steps you have to go through, and then you're ordained as a deacon. And this is nothing but God. Usually you go to a church in a community, which they call a parish. And so the person that was handling that, she called me one day, and she knew my whole story. And she said, hey, so we think we have a place for you to do your internship. I was like, where? And And so, I mean, it really wasn't my internship. This was another step of the Episcopal process.
Okay.
And they call it a curacy, where you spend a year at a church. And so I said, okay. She said, it's at the cathedral. I laughed so hard. I love the cathedral. I said, every priest in this diocese wants to work at the cathedral. And she's like, well, we know, but that's going to give you, we know that you are very focused on social justice. And we think this is the week. When we started going down the things that we knew, the ministries you were really had passion about, the cathedral just kept coming up. We were like, yeah, well, that's everything the cathedral does. And so it's a perfect match. You only stay there a year, and you never are to be hired by that church because you're just doing, it's a part of the program. And after I finished, they allowed the dean of the cathedral to hire me. My first assignment was at the cathedral. It opened me up to so many ministries. I was the chaplain. Across the street from the cathedral, they had a social service agency called the Beacon. With all the stuff I love to do. So that job allowed me to be a priest half time at the church, and the other half of my time I spent at the Beacon as their chaplain. And it was just the perfect, this just God, how God mixes it all up, and it doesn't look clear to you, but God always knows where he's sending us. It's just, are you going to be faithful to my call? Are you going to trust me? Even when you can't see, and I couldn't see anything. It was like fog.
Yeah, yeah.
One day I just lifted up my hands. I said, Jesus, are you going to make any part of this easy for me? Is any part of this journey going to be easy for me? And I guess Jesus probably laughed and said, I don't create easy. What I went through wasn't easy.
Oh,
but I did it for you to have life more abundantly. So when I began to just say, I don't know, all I can do is move through the process. So after that, I was assigned to the cathedral. I stayed there really 7 years. And then began to want to just be closer to home because it was downtown. It was a commute. And, I would get home, I was tired, didn't see my family. And so finally, there was a church around the corner I passed every day. It was across the street from the school the kids attended. And I saw it every day. I always wondered what they were up to. And it was an Episcopal church. And that was, long story short, that's the church that I'm assigned to now. So I can ride my bike to work. It's a 5-minute drive.
Oh, that's nice.
When you were talking about faith,
yeah,
I couldn't see any of that. I couldn't see how not any step of that was going to work so that my family wouldn't be affected. And a lot of people, when they would go through this process, there were divorces, a high level of, the divorce rate was really high. And I thought, it is not anything I won't do for God, but I don't believe God calls me to be one away from my family. And so the thing I got out of that was that through my faith, I stayed the course because I could not believe the God that created all of us and created families and all would want me to be separated from my family in that way. So some people would bring their families, but there were situations where women had careers that were just as high ranking and as important as their spouses. And so it can cause a lot of friction. Paul never, ever said, stop, quit, don't do it. He just said, is this what you want to do? If it's what you want to do, stop worrying about us. We're here and we're going to be here. Is this what you want to do? And so I thought, okay, well, he's in. If they're okay, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful of all the things they all had to sacrifice. I would take Paul to the library downtown with me, make him do his homework on the same day. We studied together. And he became familiar with some of the other friends that were in seminary with me because we usually would study in a group. Mm-hmm. And so I found a way to make it work. Let's just go to the library. You can knock it out in a day and then you'll have time to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. So it just worked. I didn't plan any of it. It was what I call a God lookup. Yeah. Every time I had a question, how am I going to do this? I would pray. I would wake up the next day and maybe it took a week or two or maybe a month. And then it was like, let's try this and see. And it was just constantly trying things, pushing that door, knowing that I had no power or might in any of this. It was all God, because every step of this I was in, No,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I don't think I can do that, God. And I keep saying, God, are you sure you said the Episcopal Church? Because, I'm not an Episcopalian. And I kept, going through that. And I was like, oh, so that will make it. And the next Sunday, what was confirmation? I was telling the priest at that church, and I said, I'm not even an Episcopalian. I said, I was just saying, crying that out to God. He's like, oh, I can take care of that next week. So I was like, that's not a problem. So, every time I think it wasn't so much that I was fearful. There were just too many unknowns. There was, I have a plan. I used to go by my plan, A, B, C, D, 1A, 1B, 1C, check, check, check. And I'm like, okay, none of this is fitting into my little list of things, to accomplish and how to get there. And the whole walk, and it continues, the whole walk is just a faith walk.
It's faith.
It's not me. It's faith.
Yeah.
I couldn't see this because everybody kept saying, well, we've never done that before. Even when the bishop tells you, well, if I ordain you, where am I going to place you? And for the person that's over 225 churches to say that,
right?
I didn't think, and I don't think he meant it with malice.
No, he was, but yeah.
I want you to be real about what's happening.
Right?
Some people are not going to receive you in the same way.
Yeah,
you're a brown. He didn't say that. But
no, but yeah,
we know that look.
What you right. Yeah.
So it just, after that, I don't think, after I graduated, I was like, okay, thank you, God. Whatever happens from this point on, forget all the degree, the MS, all the stuff that's behind your name. This was truly a walk of faith, trusting you, even when it looked absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I'll be honest, I was just like ready to quit. I don't know how many times, like 10 times. It was like, but then I thought, wait a minute. You've been through things that were tough before. Why is it now? You think because it's church, it's supposed to be easy? No, it's the same people in church that worked with you at this company, and treated you horribly because you were brown. So those same people sit in the pews every Sunday. So you already know, you know this. You already know this path. You know the people. You may not know them by name, but you know how people respond to you. And you're being first brown, you're going to be in a religion that's predominantly white, and you're female. So God opened that door, I think, to really not really show me much, but show others. When I say yes, yes means yes.
Yes.
When I say wait, like for me, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait means wait. It doesn't mean it's over. It's not absolute. I'm still working this out for you. And I just saw it, at every it was an expensive, very, very expensive education. If I had to do it over again, I probably still wouldn't do it any other way because it wasn't the smoothest path, but nothing in life is.
No.
Nothing in life is. And we just have bumps all along our little roads to whatever we're trying to accomplish or what we think we're trying to accomplish. And God will say, no, let's send you this way. And for me, when you start sending me to uncharted territories, it makes me a little nervous because I can't plan that.
Yes.
God,
so see, with that said, with all that's going on right now with the COVID-19, some have lost jobs, some have lost family members. Some are even suffering from their own health issues. And everything is unknown. Like there's no known cure. You don't know if you have it. You don't know if you're a carrier. You don't know if you had it. Because the symptoms are and it's all over the world. I mean, I feel like it has shaken up everybody in some way. And you talk about unknown. What advice do you have for people living in this unknown era?
And see, we've been here before. It wasn't COVID, but we've been here before. We've been to those places, whether it was civil rights era. We've been to those places where we didn't have the answers, didn't have the power, didn't have whatever was needed. And so I don't take COVID I'm not making light of it at all, because it scares the bejeebies out of me. But you know, as a matter of fact, today we just got our Paul and I went last week to get to be tested, and we're clear.
Did? Oh, nice.
But it made me feel like I wanted to jump up and down, because still we don't, you know, I can't go back. We're, you know, not in church, so I can't go back to church and serve until I've been cleared. So I'm cleared now, but right before we open, whenever that's going to be, I'll probably have to go back again and make sure I'm still clear. I've not been exposed.
Okay.
There's no trace of anything.
Okay.
So, but that was both Paul and I.
Nice.
And so, you know, and I want to try and stay that way. And right now it's so difficult because we have an older community. I'm not going to compromise their health by trying.
Right.
A lot of people open up churches just to open them, not just to, because they feel pressured financially. I get it. And so you have the problem of your health, and then you're worrying about your livelihood. How do you live? When nothing is open, so nobody's working. It's not just nobody's working. And some churches, we've gotten a lot of grants and financial support from our diocese, and we are very, very blessed, because most ministers, they're home. They may not get paid because their salaries are based upon what people contribute to that church. Because the Episcopal Church, like their diocese here in DC, all over the United States, and so each diocese has a bishop, and we'll have several. Some of ours, we have 4 bishops, so we have several, depending on the size of your diocese and the number of churches. But there are some churches where the ministers, you know, of all denominations, they will not get paid. That everything is on the line. Their benefits package, you know, like healthcare.
Wow.
If the church that pays all of that for you, if those people aren't working either, so they may not be able to tithe or give to the church. We have, God has been good. We have some members that have gone over and above to make sure that I'm okay. And we sort of have some support from our bishop's office anyway, helping with that. But they want to make sure that when it's not time to open, everybody's going to be okay. And so many of them are giving more than what, you know, I've just been, that is a blessing to me, because I was like, well, we can still have church. We might have to have church outside, and I might not have a salary. I don't know what's going to happen with that if I don't get paid. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm worried about keeping them safe first, which means we cannot congregate together within the walls of the church, and we can't even congregate outside now, because, you know, for every 3 weeks something changed in what we could do, what we couldn't do, to the point that now we can't do anything. We're not, so even office staff, it's only 3 of us anyway. Only 3 people can be in the office, and it's only for worship or payroll, accounting, you know, essential services. So no Bible studies, nothing. So I just go approve stuff, do the things that I can, and I'm in there maybe 3 hours a day. But I do a service. I do a service, like today we taped, and so we taped a service, you know, show on Sunday. So we're doing everything, you know, virtually, which is not the same, because we can't have the choir, because the choir can't be together. Right. And we don't have, we don't have the resources like the mega churches where they have their members. I call it the Brady Bunch board, where they all come in online, and it's like 20 of them, and they can sing together. Oh yeah, that's like really, really nice. And so it's like 20 faces, like you would see how the Brady Bunch were on top.
Yeah, like a Zoom.
It's like that. And it's a Zoom conference. But I don't know how I guess everybody just logs in or signs in, and I don't know how they keep the voices together, you know, on the same pitch, on the same note. And so a lot of choirs are doing that. We don't have that capability, that type of technology to do that, and it's mostly the mega churches that are doing that. But it is, you know, so they're getting to their communities at least a choir and some hymns. And so we're going to start each week. I have a friend, and her father is an Episcopal priest, and her brother, as a matter of fact. And so I called one day. I said, "Can you come and sing for my church? We need some hymns." Mm-hmm. And so the organist at my church, he played a couple of songs. So I have the music. And then today I was listening to her, and she sang a song, and I was like, oh, I need her to record that so I can put it on our website. So every week we're trying to add something different anyway to make the service, a little more, make them feel more like they're worshiping than watching, a video or something is staged. But that's the best any of us can do, because every church pretty much is doing that right now. Yeah. So it's and so this is, again, it's a test of your faith. Is it what are you gonna do? You're gonna just go sit home and wait till this is over? We're gonna keep praising God and keep inviting God into our hearts and our spaces, and we're gonna pray for those who are sick and those that are right now. There's some women. I think there are 2 women that I know that are about to give birth. Oh. That has to be scary. I told her, I said, maybe you want to do it the old-fashioned way, like our grandmas did, stay at home. Yeah. No, if someone is in the hospital dying, I can't go. Right. If they're sick for surgery, I usually go to the hospital and pray with them before they have surgery. I can't do any of that, so we've just been doing stuff over the phone. Or just a couple of friends of mine who don't have churches in their life. My niece is having surgery. If I put the phone, I said, I'll be happy to pray over the phone. Prayer works in all different ways. And that's been the beauty of this. I just think, and I'm not making light of this epidemic at all, but I just believe we have become, and this isn't a negative thing, we've become very comfortable. We have wonderful lifestyles, and I just think God is not giving us a virus to punish us, but saying, let's look at things differently. Let's begin to look, because we kind of have got, a little, I don't want to say arrogant, but comfortable is a good word. It's a good word. Really comfortable. And even for me, I mean, it's been like, whoa, what do you mean I can't? This epidemic, I can't go to church. I can't pray for people. I can't baptize anything. I can't put babies put them in water to baptize them. I can't baptize them by sprinkling. Everything is what you can't do, and you might have a dot there that says, well, you can do that one thing. So I'm trying to keep my community, they're fine. Yeah, they realize that they are in that at-risk category, so they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. But I have them just to imagine us coming back and having what in the Baptist church we call a big revival outside, where that will be our first major service back into the church, and what that's going to be like to see all your friends and sing your favorite hymns, and have coffee hour and eat Miss Jones brownies and cookies, and so just keep looking at what is to come, because we know this is going to pass. Yes. We've been through some incredible things in the United States and outside of the United States. We've been through wars. We've been through epidemics before. And probably, I think, because we are so tied to technology, that is why we feel the pain of this, because, I don't have to go to work. I'll work at home, and I can send this through an email, and we can, look at how many people are working at home. This has affected every single human being. Yeah. Every person. And I still think people are numb. They still haven't embraced what is really happening. Yeah. We have been unplugged.
Yes, totally. It seems like we've been unplugged to be replugged.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Right.
And that's what I'm holding. So when you ask me what, as far as my faith, I'm holding on to something bigger and better than this. This is what we are comfortable with. This is what we know. This is what I just believe in, a God that can just clap his hands and things happen. The thunder is roaring, and I'm getting excited for this next phase that we're entering into. And I think we're going to be different spiritually, mentally, physically. It's going to open up things we could not see, as I was talking to you about my journey. And I could not see, open up things we just can't see because we're so stuck here.
Yes.
And don't get it twisted. I am concerned.
No, I understand. I understand. Yes. I really appreciate this. I love you.
I love you too. It's so good to see you.
You too. All right,
you take good care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Glenice. Now, wasn't that the best? When I started my podcast, I wanted to share with you people who have inspired me. You don't have to be a superstar to offer words of wisdom. You can just be a person. And I even think that's more meaningful because many times, the superstars' words, they get published into a book and you hear about them all the time, but we don't hear about our everyday heroes. And so I try to reach out to people I know who have touched my soul in some way. And I really invite you to look in your life and see who's made you think about something that you didn't think about, or explore something that you didn't think that you could do. I bet you'll find all these little hidden angels. Okay, so if you are enjoying the podcast, I have so many more people that I'm going to be introducing you to now that I've learned how to Zoom. So the technology, as horrible as it is, we're experiencing COVID. I don't know if I would have explored Zoom. I don't know. Maybe I would have. I don't know. I'm just learning now that there are other ways that we can connect to people. And frankly, I'm connecting to people that I haven't talked to in a long time. And this is making it possible, the Zoom and Google and every other platform out there that allows you to telecommute. Okay, so continue to be safe. Wear your mask, stay 6 feet apart, and learn about this virus so that you can make good choices and keep safe and keep other people safe. Until next time. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please tell a friend. Let's spread the word, okay? I welcome suggestions, comments. I love hearing from you. And as always, life is marvelous and exciting. Go explore it. Your yogi venture is waiting.